Hi guys, Dan from Valhalla Games, showing you something I'm pretty excited about getting in the mail. Alright, so from things in the basement, the Mediterranean Village Town Hall. So I checked this out on Kickstarter when it first started, and the just the finishing of the actual Kickstarter campaign didn't really suit me to get charged. At that particular time, I had a lot of outgoing stuff like that, so I decided to wait, and here I go. I finally got hold of it. The reason I've gone for this, even though I'm a fan of other producers such as Charlie Foxtrot, Titan Trade New Zealand, and so on and so forth, is because I feel this product's really quite unique in its presentation. Yeah, really looking forward to adding something different on the tabletop from a different family of buildings. So yeah, I'm looking forward to putting it together. So I will just show you briefly how it comes in the bag. Pretty much like all MDF products. Probably could have done with a stronger bag to be put in, but hey, that's alright. It seems to have got here okay. I'll start worrying if it's got nothing, if I've got a piece missing later on. But yeah, pretty standard, heavy product. Thank goodness. Anyone in New Zealand who's considering ordering from overseas, I recommend you get a U-Post account, which is fantastic, or a U-Shop, sorry, with New Zealand Post. Really helped me here because this got sent to my American or US address in Oregon, and from there it was in the New Zealand Post system, got sent to me, so changed the postage for something like $50 US into something like $17 New Zealand. So that's some absolutely massive difference and made it possible to buy it. Again, that was one of the things that just wasn't viable for me with the Kickstarter, is that I had to get it sent to my New Zealand address as opposed to that U-Post address, U-Shop address. So I'm looking forward to getting this together. Tune in as I get it together and talk you through it. Thanks guys. Hey everybody, welcome back. So the town hall is assembled and it's looking really good. So the parts come off, okay, which is this cleverly designed building frame. Okay, and the levels. There's nice interior detail. I love the fact that we have gone to the point of having the outdoor tiles, the inner tiles set on diagonal. I love the fact we've got the floorboards in there. I love the effort on the door. You can see in there the strengthening crossbars and everything on the doorway. Yeah, look, it's a great piece of kit. I love the surrounding stones around the detail. They're really good. And one thing, if I'm focusing in on the roof, again, really clever how this has been put together. We have got an under layer of flat cardboard, and then we've got the tiles, the corrugated tiles put over the top. We've got the small piece of detailing in here just to make it a tighter fit, and I'll put this on here, just pull that over there into view. It's two things. Look at the great fit along the back, thanks to that attention to detail around the side there, and look at the fit around the side. You can see where the beams fit in to make some exposed beams. Again, this here can be painted up like exposed woodwork. And I love the fact that we've created this in one piece, and we don't have what we quite often have, which is the I guess a tented type top where the whole top pulls off. There is nothing wrong there whatsoever. I've got plenty of fantastic buildings that do that, but it's nice to have it like this. Really good piece of attention there from the things from the basement crew. Well done. Yep, I am loving the attention to details around the windows. Okay, especially the fact this is a town hall, so a more prestigious building. And if I put this onto the base again, it locks in soundly. Oh, that's the wrong way around. And it locks in soundly there. It's not going to move anywhere during gameplay. This frontage here, so you get in 3 different signs. Okay, this one here is the Italian one, Municipio, however you pronounce it. So that's Italian for Town Hall. I love the detail in the clock. Fantastic. So one area that I did not do particularly well in during my assembly is, as you can see down the bottom here, I have got a gap to the rear there because I've put the 2 parts of the window surround both on the outside. Now they fitted together perfectly, but what you need to do is you need to push this as a U-shaped thing here for the window, so you need to push that right through. And if I show you over here how I went wrong, so here's the download of the instructions. So you can see there's not really that much information on what's supposed to go on what side. It's not evident there. All that's evident is that the 2 layer up. If I look at this again, it's not evident in that picture where they go. However, here we go. So this is their shot that if I'd looked further ahead, I could clearly see that, let's face it, we're not going to have interior surround and no exterior surrounds. This should have been the giveaway for me, is that we have an interior part of the building there, and we have got one part of the surround with the whatever the sort of crossbars called on the inside. The U-shaped window ledge is pushed all the way through to create a full surround there, and on the outside you can see we've got the outside one with the stone at the top, the keystone, whatever it is, and the other half of it. So going back to my assembly of it, you can see that therefore it stands out quite proud. And if you look at the top one, you can see the difference in the door surround. Now, am I going to get away with this? Yes, I am. How is that going to work for me? Because, thankfully, I've got a couple of things in my favour. One is, due to these extra details here and the large ledge here outside these windows, that basically all ties in with the look. This here's been extended. The ones on the side don't have any reference ones down the bottom, and again at the back it's different as well. So I'm actually going to get away with it. All I need to do is build up the level of the sand and polyfiller, which I'm going to do next, a little bit higher on these parts of surrounds, and then do it a little bit lighter around the single layer surrounds of the doors and the keystones here and so on and so forth. Where I'm not going to get away with it, of course, and where it's going to become evident, is inside the building, because we can see here the difference. This one here is a window with a surround on the inside. This one here is with both on the outside, where I assembled it wrong. However, by the time you open that building, yep, there's going to be so much action going on, you're not going to worry about it. I'll merely wallpaper the wall or texture the inside wall or something like that, so it's not seen, and you won't even notice a difference, basically. But definitely a small error for me in construction is something that I wanted you guys to be aware of, so you don't make the same mistake as me, because the product is fantastic, and I don't want you to make any errors while assembling it like I did. One thing that is pretty unique to this, I'm interested in the way that we have got the, I'm not sure what these are called, coping maybe, stones across the top, coping tiles across the top. So what we have been encouraged to do in this kit is just basically get a spare piece of corrugated card, of which there is some supplied, the cut-offs are supplied with it. Cut it lengthways, and then basically delaminate the back of the flat piece of card off it, so you're just creating the actual corrugation itself. Lay it along the top of the building to the desired length, and that's also for on the top here as well of the clock tower. What I did then is I have inscribed in gently to the same sort of spacings as the tiles are on the building, where those coping tiles, for want of a better word, if that's not the word, ending. Yep, and this way we cover up the gap at the tops of the buildings where the two sheets of corrugated card don't attach, and we create that correct look of that those tiles being put on top. So yeah, good idea. I'm not entirely certain it'll work as well as maybe a piece of dowel. Maybe could be inscribed or something like that. However, it certainly works. One thing, if I was to be a little bit tough, is that I think the tiles might be a little bit big for 156 or 148 scale or 28mm scale, whatever way you want to say it. And if I put some 148 sort of scale tiles next to it, you can see the length of those stones is quite, or tiles, sorry, is a lot shorter compared to those, maybe about half the size of the ones on these. However, you know what? This is an absolutely fantastic product. I'm looking forward to getting it textured up now, ready to paint. And join me as I come back, and I'll have it textured, ready to go, and I'll tell you how I did it. Thanks, guys. Everybody, welcome back. And as you can see, I've got the workbench cleared, and here's my progress on texturing the building. So what I have done is, to start off with, the very first thing I've done is I have applied some textured card like this. These are raised surfaces for the block work, and applied this in a few places, as you can see, around the building. Now, you'll notice I don't have that many of those, and the reason for that is, here's another one here, another one there, and that is about it. The reason for that is that this is, quite frankly, one of the most prestigious places in town. This is the town hall. So the fact of the matter is, it's going to generally be of a higher standard in maintenance than a lot of the civilian buildings, the privately owned buildings in town. Generally some of the money is going to be spent, invested in this, so a little bit like that would be considered character. However, any more than that would probably be fixed. So around those areas we can see, I have started to blend in some sharp sand using super glue, so I can get a quick fix onto the other areas. Again, as you can see, just the sand by themselves. Now these here are really part of the texture of the Mediterranean buildings themselves, and less seen as damage or so on and so forth. So the fact of the matter is, there is going to be some around the place. I haven't forgotten down the back, on the inside there of our portico, I guess you'd call it. Is that the word? Let's go for that, portico. Inside and outside, on the arches and on the building itself. So yeah, so the next step will be to move on, once that's dried, and basically blend in and over the top of said spots with our quick drying polyfiller. So join me back next as we make some more progress into that stage, and I'll show you what I've done. Thanks, guys. Welcome back, everyone, to the workbench of doom. As you can see, one semi-finished plastered building surrounded by the graveyards of plaster and our under texture for the building. So what we've got here is work which I did yesterday on the plastering for the outside. You can see that the thicker the layers are, the whiter it is, and then the thinner it is, obviously we've got more of the wood finish sort of coming through. Don't worry about that. Once we get it painted up, it's all going to blend together. It's going to look like a variance to the surface itself. Yeah, it's going to look good. So if I just actually turn this building around to the way which it actually should be, we'll start identifying things a little bit better. There we go. So one thing I did want to talk about is I wanted to talk about the again the plaster coming off and the revealing of the texture and the blockwork underneath. So I'm quite happy with this here in a lot of regards, and if I just zoom in I can start to show you what in my opinion the good, the bad and the ugly looks like. So this here is, in my opinion, a really good example of how to expose the brickwork or blockwork underneath. So we've got a larger layer of the plaster, then we've got it as it's started to chip or flake away, we've got the texture underneath, and then we've got the part that's actually exposed to the blockwork or the stonework. Towards the bottom here we have got the texture again with the blockwork, and you can see I've gradually built up a bit of a trick of the eye of the layers of the polyfiller, so that when it gets to this actual area itself, it genuinely looks as if that texture and that blockwork is underneath flaked off layers. I mean, if that's what we're trying to replicate here, or force perspective, whatever you'd like to call about it, then it's important that the this texture doesn't appear to be higher than the plaster itself. So if we look at the front, again, pretty happy with this bit here. Now we can see that the texture appears to be underneath the plaster. However, just being tough on myself here in some areas that I think I can improve on. Take that off there, bring this closer. So one thing I'm not happy with is I'm not happy with this area here, because if I do that, it appears as if this texture is higher than the level of the plaster here. So I'm going to do that again there. And another area that I'm not happy with is this area here. Again, it looks like the texture is on top or higher than the level of the plaster, especially on this side. So I'm just going to build up this area here, and in particular this area here on this one here. Those are my main areas of concern across the whole model on the work which I've done so far. Just turning it around so you can see the whole work. Nice crunchy sound, sorry guys, that's all the grit underneath from the texture. So we can see that I have camouflaged the fact that I stuck these windows. I doubled the surface on the outside and didn't have an inside, just by gradually building up the layers of the polyfiller around gently, sculpting it in, not too much, and it really has, in my opinion, covered up the fact that I'd made that error. If we look at it from the front, as we know, these top windows here, those surrounds were done in the correct method. This one here was the faux pas that I had. And we'll look at it from the side. Yeah, and it's all blended in. You couldn't actually tell, I don't think, on the finished product unless I told you about it, which I did. But I don't mind sharing with you a little boo-boo I made, because A, stops you doing it. B, if you noticed it and didn't like it, you might think that was the model's issue. It's not, it's the fact that I did it wrong. And thirdly, it gives me an opportunity to show you what to do if you do it wrong. And I think we've done a really good cover-up job there, and you're not even going to notice it. The reality is, an intact building, once you lift that building off, the roof off, etc., the layer off, to start playing inside, that suspension disbelief's gone anyway. You're basically playing inside it, and you tend to notice things less, like, you know, it's missing an inner window sill or something like that. So in my opinion, it's not a problem. Another thing I want to show you here is on this particular model, be aware, remember it's got excellent cuts in here to bring the roof quite close. Yeah, just be aware of how high you build the texture in this area, because these tiles, this corrugated card replicating the tiles, comes quite close to it there, so just be aware of that. You'll notice I've done particularly thin texture around the sides of this clock tower, so that it all has a similar look. Yeah, but just a point to be aware of. The sides, not so much, but the back, that's very important down there that you get that right. So if you're going to do that side, I suggest all sides pretty thinly textured like that. Also, points to note as well, when you get to the back here, yeah, you're texturing all around this. Just have a wee scrape, like a back scrape, almost if you're getting mold lines off. Yep, around the area of the this archway. To be paying particular attention to that. Yep, getting right in there. And be aware as well that if you have build up in the corners, which quite often happens, and I had it in this corner here, don't be afraid to get in there as well and just scrape a wee bit of that off. So you're maintaining a bit of a right angle in that corner, or at least a representative sort of angle. It's not a big curved build up in there of your polyfiller. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to touch up the bits we weren't happy with, that part there and this part here. It's pretty simple. What I do is I just apply a little bit of water first with my finger to where I'm going to be putting the polyfiller. Dip my finger in my polyfiller, excuse the hand being in the way there. Don't need that there. Apply it on like so, get rid of any excess, and I can just have a wee scratch away at that like so if I need to. My polyfiller is a bit dry, to be honest. You don't normally need to do that. Normally it will apply a lot easier with the finger if you want to. If you want to polish it up a bit, you can just dip your finger into the polyfiller again, into the water again, run it over the polyfiller, get the fingerprints out, and what we can see there is now I created an area that looks as if the plaster is higher than that revealed texture through damage underneath, and that is much pleasing to the eye than the other way, which is a bit unrealistic. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this one here now, and I'll be back shortly when that dries and I'll show you the next step. Thanks guys, see you soon. Hi guys, welcome back. So the texturing is complete and I've done some pre-spraying ready to move into the painting stage. So what I've done is I've taken a bit of a brown spray can, given the floor on this top level a spray with that brown, because it's just going to speed up the process, and once I've painted the walls in the colour which I'll show you shortly, then I'm not really going to want to spray anything in there, so it's going to be a brush only sort of scenario, and quite frankly I want to save some time. The stairs, I have got in amongst the stairs as much as required anyway, sprayed some brown through that, some dark brown. The walls and the exterior are going to be like a graveyard earth colour, and I have sprayed the inside with the tiles, the interior tiles, which is going to be more opulent. So that's going to be, my intention is black and white tiles underfoot in there, and the same sort of graveyard earth colour walls on the inside as well. While I was there, I might as well put a bit of a base spray on the door. That's bound to get some paint in it during the exterior painting progress, but why not put a wee bit of effort into it now, because whatever remains will be a bit of a good cheat. So what have I got to help me with the process? Oh, before I go on anymore, I've given the interior underside of the roof a spray. I've left the top of the roof. I could potentially prime that, but I'm not going to, because it's quite a pleasing colour to put like a orange, sort of a burnt orange sort of tile colour over the top, so I've left that as it is. Right, the colours which I'm going to use to paint. So I went down to Dulux Paints, which is a well-known brand here in Australasia. Don't know about further abroad. And my painting progress is, or process is, step by step. So this is a colour Maritoto Rock, which is very, very similar to Graveyard Earth. I'll be using that for the interior walls and also then the exterior base coat. Then I'm going to layer up with this Poo Poo Springs, and that there is a sort of a triple Spanish white sort of colour, so a creamy sort of white, and then I can add some lighten that up a wee bit for the further final highlight on the external plastering. I've gone for a colour called Evans Bay for the roof, and this is going to be a lot more orangey yellow than my previous roofs are, just to mix it up. I want to knock it back in a bit of a rustic look to this one. Not quite so rustic as to be look peasant-ish, because it is the town hall, but yeah, just want to have it looking like it's a venerable place, but in good maintenance. So yeah. Now that Courtney Place on the right, that is the orange base colour which I used for the remainder of my buildings thus far, my Mediterranean buildings, in case anyone wants to know. So these colours in the Dulux range, they are, I believe, named differently locally in your country, because I believe that they're definitely different between New Zealand and Australia for similar colours. So I believe to give it that artisanal and superficial feel to people that way inclined that are doing decorating, they name it after places and things that will flick people's switch. So be aware these are different colours, probably where you are. If you're from New Zealand, those are the colours that I use. However, you'll have to find colours that suit you in your town. But I'll show you those colours as we go along. Also on the painting table, oh sorry, there's the colours which I used. Okay, so TS1, the red brown by Tamiya, and just a light surface primer as well. Those are for the inside sprays I gave them, and I use a surface primer as well on the Warlord Games walls, and those there to match my buildings are going to be similar colours to the exterior of plastering of this building. So I'm going to do it all at once, just like we do sometimes, save time, batch paint. If you've got the brush out and you're doing the exact same process there, why not do it all at once, guys? Save you some time. So I'm going to get some paint on the outside of this to start off with, and the first colour I'm going to use, as I said, is this Maritoto Rock, inside and out. Then I'll leave it on the interior walls, but the outside will get laid up after that. So I'm going to get that on, and I'll come back to you and update you on the painting process. Thanks, guys. Hi everybody, welcome back to the concluding part of this video. So you can see the finished result in front of you. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to break it down. We'll have a bit of a quick look inside. I'll explain some decisions I've made, and yeah, have a few look at the few details. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pop the second level off that, look inside. First thing I did is I made sure that I painted the tiles in the interior in sort of a more opulent manner, as befits the town hall, the figurehead centre of the town. Looked at the stairs there, a bit of a dry brush. The interior itself, left that graveyard earth sort of base coat. I'm not concerned about putting wallpaper or anything on at this stage. What I am concerned about is when you look inside, you see a dark colour rather than a lighter colour, because of that odd sort of look from the outside. We can see the exterior finish there. I'm really happy with it. Yeah, the door itself gave a few sort of that sort of bit aged look to that door, and the details are really good around the supports, the door, whatever you call them, the frame of the door, both inside and out. You can see the inside there. So yeah, I was happy with how that turned out. The top level, if I just take off the roof, so looking inside, same thing again. I've made sure I've paid a wee bit of attention to a bit of a distressed look for the floor. I'm really not concerned again about the walls or wallpaper at this stage, but yeah, just looking down, just wanted to show a bit of distressed floor. I could sort the walls out later. I am really happy with that. I'm really pleased about how the whole thing goes together. You can see how I have spent some time aging the roof, the tiles on there, and the time I spent putting into the clock was well worth it as well. What I might suggest is that if you did have Roman numerals, these are very, very difficult to paint freehand at that scale, which is basically freehand. You've got a nicely engraved template to go off. However, by the time you paint it, it's quite difficult. What I would do is, if a tip to anyone out there, is I'd probably leave that clock face off when I was doing the texturing, and then I'd probably base coat it using a spray, and then freehand on all the numerals if I was doing it again, if I wasn't using a decals or something like that, and then put the separate piece, which is the hands of the clock, on last. This bit of a top tip for you guys out there. You might find it a bit more easier than what I did doing it that way, but anything to make the job easier for you, I guess. But in conclusion, this is a beautiful piece. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'm glad that I bit the bullet and got it to me from all the way from the United States to here in New Zealand. It's a fantastic piece. It's really something different to what I've got already. It's going to look fantastic being fought over, and the interchangeability. Remember, you can change the writing on the plaque above the door. It's got Spanish, Greek, and Italian nameplates, I guess, for the town hall on it, or you can just leave it off. But I thought it was fantastic. I wanted to use those. And look, the whole thing's just great. I totally recommend this set to you. You know, I've got a couple of misgivings about things like, you know, the size of the tiles and stuff like that, but that's really quite pedantic stuff. And to be honest, they're not really standing out there as much as I would like them to be if they were resin cast or something like that with a different stepped look. But certainly at the distance we're going to be viewing at, it's really good effect the way it is anyway. Zoom in there, it's lovely to look at from the outside. The details on the roof are really pleasing. So I hope you have learned something from me. Hope you've learned from any of the errors which I've made. I hope you've come to love this building as much as I have while I'll be making it. I'm looking forward to gaming with it now, and I hope it encourages you to go and buy one. Things from the Basement, support them. There's some fantastic manufacturers out there, but this is the only building like this, quite like this, that I've seen. So really well done, guys. George, or however it's pronounced, at Things from the Basement. My hat's off to you. I really enjoy your product. Totally recommend it to anybody else. Go get it, guys. Thanks for that. I'll see you again soon.